I think the Be Open Made in India exhibit is a culmination of a lot of thought and ideas, which in itself is very exciting. And I think it has endless possibilities, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I worked with, for my part of the exhibition at Be Open, I worked with the Indian furniture makers and sculptors because I see craft as not just something which is region based, but this is for me the crafts are universal. And how my concept for Be Open was, for Made in India at Be Open, was that I had a sofa, a carpet, a poof, and 3 garments. And India and all its elemental energy, which is earth, fire, water, air, almost washed it from one side. So that's why the titles of the works there, which are almost like installations, is called like ephemeral, or like the carpet is called unshore, and the sofa is called de-seated. So it's almost in a magic realism space. I think the architectural display of the Be Open exhibit has been very interesting, with the fact that the architectural space itself is made in India, and there is a hand-done quality to it. It has a hand-done texture, and it almost feels like you are in a surreal, pebbled space, walking around and seeing. And it's also interesting how different spaces are like floating in pools, or there is, the spaces work very well with this such varied amount of kinds of work around it as well. So the space kind of almost divides it, yet kind of has an harmony to it. I think design is universal, and it surpasses all kinds of definitions. And that's when it's exciting, when someone from fashion like me was doing something like furniture, or someone who's a product designer is doing something with garments. And the mixing of cultures within these design synergies has to happen, like the mixing of the global cultures, which is what Be Open is, I think, able to do, and almost open up the global space with having taking culture forward in a way. I would say culture has to move, crafts have to move, tradition moves, and I think Be Open fuels that. This project with Be Open has opened me to kind of make a whole line of product, which is like these sofas and carpets and different products. So I would actually work with these carpenters and sculptors to do more and more kind of product types which would enhance my design language. I actually have about 100 craftsmen working with me, so who work in my factory, who are employed from all different parts of India and specialize in different kinds of embroidery techniques, like Zardozi and Chikankari and Banarsi, and lots of different embroidery techniques. But they're almost taught to unlearn that and somehow still retain certain techniques from there, and I develop completely new techniques with them, but of course having references to the old techniques. So we almost taking out newer forms of embroideries, which I use in all my clothes and my couture and ready-to-wear lines. So the average age of my craftsmen would be around 25 years old. I think they start pretty young, at like as soon as they're eligible to do it, like 18 to 20 years old, and they train themselves into our factory, which teaches them how to unlearn what they've learned, and then they start exploring their own creative sense. So that process is very exciting, and by the time they're 25, so between 25 and 30, they're at the peak of it, and they're able to really contribute towards the whole creative process in my company. I think the exhibition Made in India, which Be Open has organized, is a starting point where ideas are born, and where there's a possibility of these crafts being taken to a global standard almost, and to the global market. But I think this is a starting point. There needs to be a continuous effort to make sure that it kind of gets into the global system of things. But it definitely opens up people's pores and brains and ideas towards the amalgamation of craft and design. I think Yelena Baccherina has done an amazing job with putting this brainchild together, which celebrates design and culture globally. I think Yelena Boccherina has done an amazing job of, and the brainchild of hers, bringing all of these different cultures and art and craft together and almost offsetting it, but giving it a new meaning altogether, which is with this exhibition made in India, has had a different kind of stimuli all around it, where you know people walking through it are seeing newer things coming out of different disciplines and the possibilities therein. I think that's how culture grows, and that's how newer ideas are born. I think we are at a very interesting junction and moment for India right now, where I think the world is more open towards India, and India is developing newer things which are more global. So there's a whole new global Indian language happening all across design, and especially with us being able to dress people at the Grammys and the Golden Globe or different award ceremonies. It's been great. We've got great reactions, and the possibilities are endless of collaborations, of amalgamations, and there's just so many things that are possible, and the world is now ready for a new Made in India.